Welcome back to Cosmic Rewind. We have tons of Marvel news to go over this week, things that you've missed out, and we're recapping them all here. Deadpool and Wolverine news, Avengers 5 news, Kang recasted in the MCU, rumors and updates, and much, much more. All that we're going to be jumping into in today's video. For further details on any of it, check out the longer form videos that talk in specifics from Warren from the week. Let's dive into it. And of course, we're going to start with this Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket. Of course, he said it best himself on Twitter when they released this video. He says, years from now, they will look back at 2024 as the year the war of the popcorn buckets began. Now, we've been hearing about this popcorn bucket since CinemaCon, where they said that they intentionally made it dirty. Now, you might think it's just the face of Wolverine. However, I think without any further explanation, you know where we're headed with the way the face is and, the butter dripping on it, all of these little details. Now, I also think that this is a little stab at the Dune bucket, which you all may have seen, has the big worm, and you kind of reach into the worm to get the popcorn. Now, that's the spark of the popcorn bucket wars, and honestly, I am here for it. I know you guys all love your collections, your memorabilia, and having a Deadpool and Wolverine popcorn bucket is going to be great. We also know there are more out there, so stay tuned for more updates on different buckets that will also be coming out. We have conflicting reports on this next one, and each one is just as interesting and impressive as the last. You may have heard recently that Taylor Swift has been in talks to join the MCU. Now, whilst I believe this, one rumor is stating that she was going to be playing Blonde Phantom in her own TV series. Well, now, coming from My Time to Shine Hello and others, we're hearing that in fact that's not meant to be Taylor Swift, but that they've heard it's Sydney Sweeney. Now, you guys all probably are familiar with who she is right now, arguably one of the most popular celebrities out there for her multiple different roles in multiple different shows and movies. However, she might be transferring from the Sony universe over to the MCU. Now, we've heard that Marvel Studios was interested in getting her involved in some projects, regardless of her appearance in that one Sony movie that we're not going to talk about. But now we're hearing she could be, in fact, playing Blonde Phantom and not Taylor Swift. This would leave Taylor Swift, if she had a role in the MCU, as is rumored, playing some other role. Many believe that role to be Dazzler and just a cameo in the upcoming Deadpool film. Now, Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, best buddies. We know this whole background story. So we'd be interested to see if we get Taylor Swift and Sydney Sweeney in the MCU and what roles they play. I'm also going to throw in, just because of context, a little bit of Star Wars news for you guys today. And I hope you guys like Sydney Sweeney, because there are also rumors around that name for Star Wars. We don't have a role and we don't have an idea or even a project, but the rumors state that Lucasfilm and Disney are also looking to Sydney Sweeney to join the Star Wars universe in an undisclosed role. So that's 2 hits for Sydney Sweeney, Blonde Phantom, and somewhere in the Star Wars universe. Moving on to some Venom news. Now, Venom has been in the news a lot recently as we went over a plot leak that talked about a 10-year-old Peter Parker going to be discovered by Venom, who wanted to take out Peter Parker because the hive mind told him that Peter Parker will kill him one day. But then on top of that, you've got Toxin and his whole story going on. And then on top of that, there's another group of Iron Man-like people trying to kill all of the Venoms. It's been an interesting little leak, but we did also get a leaked, updated look at the Venom Last Dance logo, which is what's on the screen for you now. Also, kind of fits into the theme, the balloon-like chrome letters, and then the drawing underneath, The Last Dance. Personally, not the biggest fan of the name, but The Last Dance name has a connotation that this is the final Venom movie, certainly with Tom Hardy, who is planning on moving on and doing bigger and better things, possibly even in the MCU, as some rumors have implied. The next one on our list from news this week is a rumor that has been going around for quite some time, and that is the joining of Giancarlo Esposito in the MCU. But we have an update coming directly from him that he will be playing a character that hasn't been played in the MCU just yet. So that kind of draws up on our short list Doctor Doom or Osborn, perhaps. We might be able to see Mr. Esposito play a Green Goblin role. And he also said that he was going to be showing up in the MCU sooner than we would expect, which could imply that maybe even his first introduction could happen in Spider-Man 4 if they went the Osborn route, or we will see him in the Fantastic Four, as it has also heavily been rumored that both Galactus and Doctor Doom will appear in the Fantastic Four and have important roles moving further down in the MCU. It's assumed that if he plays Doctor Doom, or whoever plays Doctor Doom, will transfer from whatever universe the Fantastic Four movie will be set in into the normal timeline, and those will be our collective Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. And if it is Giancarlo Esposito, well, that is a fantastic role for him to have, as Doctor Doom is arguably one of the greatest villains in the Marvel arsenal. Coming from Holyfield News on Twitter, or X, we have an updated short list of actors who could be recasted to play the role of Kang, who we are hearing is still going to have a very important role moving forward in Avengers 5/Kang Dynasty, whatever you still call it, and throughout the remaining part of the MCU. Very, very briefly, if you haven't heard, Jonathan Majors is no longer going to be playing Kang in the MCU because of some personal issues. We don't have to get into them here. However, this is an important role. This is the singular role that the entire multiverse saga was built around, and every single Kang character up to this point was shown as Jonathan Majors. Even that massive Council of Kangs where thousands of Kangs appeared in the likeliness of Jonathan Majors. Now, we know all variants do not have to be the same. We've seen this with Spider-Man. We've seen this with Loki. But we will need to get an actor to come in and take on this role. And here is the supposed shortlist. Coleman Domingo, Coffee Sirobi, John David Washington, Lemore Merritt Jr., and yes, it does say Caucasian male actor, unknown, which potentially just means they're also looking at some white dudes to play different variants or versions of Kang, but I do think ultimately they will be going with one of these actors of color to continue on with the theme from the original Kang, Jonathan Majors. Some really interesting names here. I'm a big fan of John David Washington. I just really like him as an actor. I don't know necessarily if he would be the best to play Kang, but that's the name that sticks out to me the most, just because I've really liked him in some of his roles from the past. But those are the supposed short names for the Kang recast, which is important because our next bit of news is talking about Avengers 5. Previously called Avengers Kang Dynasty, Avengers 5 is now what we refer to it after the Jonathan Majors debacle, because we do not know the exact direction Marvel's planning on moving forward. However, based off of this rumor and many others, it sounds like Kang will still be heavily involved. However, coming from Holyfield News this week on Avengers 5, they state, the new Avengers will encounter a group of supervillains in the first part of Avengers 5. Also, the team is going to discover Kang the Conqueror at the new Avengers headquarters. There will be a collection of alternative realities visited, and the TVA will be involved. Now, these are some very lightly drawn out plot points, but I do think that it is interesting that the Avengers, the new Avengers, are going to have to come together, which will happen slowly over the next several movies that will be coming out, like the Thunderbolts, Captain America 4, and several others, but they're going to have to come together in the first part of Avengers 5 to defeat a different group of supervillains. And then at some point in that movie, they will be introduced to Kang, who will come and visit them at the new Avengers HQ. Now, we can take notes from what we already do know about Kang, and that is that the Kangs, plural, are all aware of the Avengers, and we even heard the High Council of Kang talking about how something needs to be done about the Avengers, because this one Kang from Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania who was exiled was defeated, but not by Kangs, by Ant-Man, by an Avenger, and they're aware of the Avengers and starting to fear the Avengers. So in Avengers 5, once the new team is established, fighting off a different group of villains, Kang will make himself known to the Avengers, and we will finally see that big cross threat from Kang to the new Avengers team that by this point hopefully will be formed almost in its entirety. I'm sure some Avengers will be out and about. Usually Carol Danvers isn't just hanging around. Doctor Strange might be in the middle of some stuff, but everybody can be pulled together. The new mutants, the old mutants, the Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, the mythic side of the MCU, the street side of the MCU, and all of that can come into play to create the Avengers team that has to go against this new threat, Kang, who, kindly enough, showed himself to the front door of the new Avengers headquarters. Talking about other teams in the MCU, our next bit of news is Moon Knight Season 2. Now, there have been a lot of rumors about the importance of Moon Knight Season 2, as that is what's going to connect this supernatural side of the MCU to the Avengers potentially, as it is rumored that both Mephisto, important, and Kang, important, will make appearances in Moon Knight Season 2. Now, previously in Moon Knight Season 1, there were very little, if any at all, references to the MCU. It was a completely independent project. There was a book on a shelf talking about the Asgardians and a couple other very small mentions and nods to the MCU. But the majority of this project was very much kept to itself, and I enjoyed that, but I'm also excited to see Moon Knight join the MCU. Now, with the inclusion of Kang, who easily could be the Rama Tut version, who we also saw in the post-credit scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as part of this Kang trio, that would be a very, very easy connection. You know, Rama Tut was an Egyptian pharaoh in the comics, and Moon Knight's all about the Egyptian deities and history, so that's a very easy connection. But then also the rumor of Mephisto being involved is what will pull Moon Knight into the Midnight Suns storyline. One thing of which I am entirely and completely excited for. Ghost Rider, Blade, Midnight Suns, Moon Knight, Mephisto, Doctor Strange. There are so many different variations of this little storyline, this little monsterverse within the MCU that I am ecstatically excited for, and I'd love to know your guys' opinion. But those rumors of both Kang and Mephisto joining Moon Knight Season 2 are very exciting rumors because they imply the overall connection of Moon Knight to the MCU. I'll finish off with a little fun fact. If you made it to the very end of the video, go ahead and comment down the answer to this question. The Home Alone house is for sale. Yes, the house from the first Home Alone movie is for sale at a price point of $5.2 million. I guess my question is, would you buy this house for that much money if any of us had that much money? Let me know your answer in the comment section down below. Prove to me you watched till the very end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Help the Cosmic Wonder channel get to 1 million subscribers. We are very, very close. And I will catch you guys all on the next Cosmic Rewind.